You know the vibes. Walking my black ass home. This trash can is still on the goddamn street. I'll bring it back in when I get back to the house. But one thing I forgot to mention, man, in that LG in the video where I was talking about is the LGBTQ modern day feminism and the AAPI groups, are they anti-black groups? In that video, I forgot to make one crucial point about how the L. I find it funny how they gave the LGP, the alphabet group, man, the LGBT community, the month for them to have so they can celebrate their gayness and all that shit. You know, I find it funny that they gave them that, the month that they gave them to do that, they allowed them to have that, is the month where black people in this country, really all of America, if you really are a human being, but black people in particular, is the month where they're supposed to celebrate the end of slavery. A lot of people think that Abraham Lincoln ended it with Emancipation Proclamation, but you got to understand something about Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery, because it's still going on to this day in privatized prisons, right? Like, they didn't, Emancipation Proclamation, hold on. Damn, let me fuck that controller up. Anyway, but yeah, so it didn't end slavery. What Emancipation Proclamation did is that it just transferred the ownership of slavery from, well, let me say it like this because I don't want to get my words messed up. What Emancipation Proclamation did is that when it happened, slavery still continued on until I think 1865, June 19th, which is coming up. And this is what they call Juneteenth, because this is when a Union general rode into Galveston, Texas, and he pretty much called an end to the Civil War. And that all slaves were free, were freed. So when the Emancipation Proclamation happened, not only was slavery still continuing, but it went on for several years after that. You know what I mean? So it didn't bring it to an end. And on top of that, it just transferred the ownership of slavery from individual to state, meaning that it's illegal for an individual to have a slave plantation or things like that. You know, it's illegal for the individual to do it, but the state is still allowed to do it. Because you still have companies that makes license plates, do other kind of knit work, to make clothes and things like that. Other kind of metal work and things of that nature. They still doing that. They still allowing, private prisons to make those items, and they doing that shit literally for pennies on the dollar. Literally. I mean, they making if I can even say that, they still making like what they would consider a World War III country type of wage. Like when the companies outsource jobs and things like that, that's how they make them for cheap in America. Because they got to pay people that's actually on the outside of those walls, outside of those prisons and jails. They're actually outside. They got to pay them a decent wage, but it's much cheaper to get people who are basically off the radar or people that forgot about. It's much easier to give them um, get them to do the work, because they got to work in there any damn way. So if we can get them to do the work for literally pennies an hour, oh, they finna do it. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, that's how it's set up. But that's what I mean. Like, slavery is still going on today, regardless if we want to acknowledge it or not. But here's one thing I wanted to say about the truth, right? And it took me a minute to get here because I was gathering my thoughts. As soon as I woke up, I had to get dressed and walk to work. But the truth isn't, and this is why some people shouldn't be allowed to be able to say certain things, man. Because the truth, it's like when people get a little bit of knowledge of something, instead of them just, trying to wake people up or acknowledge, that people may have a mental disability, or people might have something traumatic that happened with them. They just go on this rage where they attack the individual without trying to understand the circumstances that made them that way. You feel me? And America does this more so than any other country that I can think of, where they just attack the individual and not try to rehabilitate them if they can be rehabilitated. Because some people are so damaged beyond repair because of the trauma and the shit that they went through in life. Like, bruh, it's, you got some people that just shouldn't be allowed to be motivational speakers or allowed in front of a camera because they don't know how to use their voice properly. You got to think like this. The truth isn't to be used as a weapon to make people feel bad. When the truth is out, that just comes with the territory. They don't need other people coming in society, coming into their lives, just, bashing them for the way that they live in. No, help them. And sometimes you got to talk to them and you got to tell them what they're doing wrong. You know what I mean? In order for them to get back on the right track. Because some of them out there, they know they're living wrong. But here's the thing. Some people are so far gone that they don't see a way back. But you got to get them in that mind frame to understand that one step in the right direction is worth 1,000 times more than continuing down the wrong direction. You notice how this is all relative to me talking about how some people love living in the illusion of the possibility of something happening rather than the reality of it not happening, because they're so tired of fighting and so tired of trying to get their life straight that they just give in, because a lot of people don't have that fight in them. Y'all remember those videos? They still on my channel. Go look at them. But I understand. So even though I may not understand what you going through as an individual, I don't understand your particular trauma, but I understand trauma takes a lot out of you. And some people are more resilient than others. Some people have more of a hardened resolve than others. You know what I mean? So I don't try to just bash you and just try to make you feel like shit. That's not what I'm here for. Being a person who has this knowledge and has this life experience, being somebody that has this knowledge and has this life experience, I try my best to try to make sure that, people get the proper lessons so that they don't go out in the world thinking that, they have to absorb all that hatred from other people. I just want you to understand something. Bro, you can You know what I'm saying? There's a right way to live and there's a wrong way to live. And you gotta start taking steps towards the right way to live, bro. Especially my black people out there. We've been fucked over and fucked up for so goddamn long, we don't know what's right and what's wrong. I see the new generation coming up, they so backwards and things like that, which I can see a positive in it, but the positive that's in it is severely, I'm gonna put it like this, the negative that's in it severely outweighs the positive that's in it. Because America has made this current generation overall more docile, less critically thinking, and more acceptant of things that they shouldn't be accepting of. So much so that when you speak out against these negative ways of living or these wrong lifestyles, they'll jump up and defend their own destruction, thinking that it's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of kids out there that just think that it's all right to live in a self-destructive manner and continue to use the excuse like, oh, it's just how it is out here. Look, I get it, bro. Like, you can't talk to me about being in the hood. Bro, I'm from New Orleans. I'm from the West Bank, Algiers. I'm from a city that's known to get busy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know, you know. Like, I'm from a city that's known to get busy. So I'm from a city that, you know what I'm saying, that knows, you know what I'm saying, what it means to deal with, you know what I'm saying, gun violence and knife fights and shit like that. Let me cross the street. I'm from a city that's known for having knife fights and, you know what I'm saying, hell, we was called a murder capital at one point. Personally, I'm happy we don't have that title no more, because New Orleans is a beautiful city. Especially at nighttime, if you ever was on top of a rooftop that can look over the city, and you can see like the whole skyline. They call it the Crescent City for a reason. The lights is beautiful. But regardless, I know what it's like. You know, I was born in 1988. I was in New Orleans when all that bullshit was going down. You know what I'm saying? I was in New Orleans when it was real active. Before Philly was known. Before Chicago was known for being as dangerous as it is. You know what I'm saying? I was in New Orleans at that time. So I know. Of course, my mama seen me going down the wrong path, and she did what any parent would do. She moved the hell out of there so damn quick. But you know, anyway, mother, I do love you. You know what I'm saying? But nah, I was involved in all that shit. I remember it was people from other sides of town. They used to come to our block, literally trying to fight us, and they would have knives in their back pocket, trying to stab us and shit. Like, this actually happened. I'm not even lying, bro. This is the type of shit we was going on. And this is just elementary school. Like, I don't talk about it much because it's like I made it out of there, so I just don't, unless I know I can relate to you on that level, I just don't, you know, like I just don't tell you those stories. But you know, it's people that are living in a certain way and they've gone so far down living like that, they went so far down that path that the idea of them turning around to try to do something different is just out of it's just, they can't imagine that. The world done got so used to them, you know what I'm saying, living like this. Their friends, they got so used to them living like this, and the fear of turning away from that might mean they may not have friends no more. They may not have friends anymore. They may not have whatever opportunities that they got because of that. Because believe it or not, it's companies that are out here that are literally giving away jobs and opportunities. I'm talking about sponsorships and all that type of shit. just so that they can pretend like they give a fuck about the gay community. You know, black folks, we went through this as a community. We went through this time already. We know what's up. That's why we don't really fuck with a lot of these companies that talk about Black Lives Matter and all this shit. We don't fuck with them. We really don't. Because we've been through like the whole, when Hollywood was in that whole, what was the era called? The blaxploitation era. That's what it was called. It was called the blaxploitation era in Hollywood, where they was doing all these movies with black folks and they were showing black people as drug dealers and pimps and, you know, and hoes and all that shit. And we happy that we getting representation, but that's not the type of representation that we wanted. Because the more we seen that growing up, the more we emulated that. So eventually that became our reality, and that's what we live, the way we living now. And not to mention they tried to make like black villains and black monsters. Like they literally had a black Dracula called Blackula. I kid you not. Like if I can't remember the actor name, but if you know the dude who had played Nunu's daddy in ATL, if you know the name of that guy who had played Nunu's daddy in that movie ATL, he was the one who had played Blackula. Like his history goes all the way far back like that. But it's just, you know, we already familiar. Black folks as a whole, we're familiar with this already. We see what this was happening to the gay community, and we're like, look, yo, y'all being taken advantage of, and y'all gonna regret this shit later on down the line. If y'all care about y'all community, because me, it's not my community, so I don't really give a fuck. So, but if y'all care about y'all community, all these companies like Bubbly, Barefoot Bubbly, them, I almost forgot the name of the company, I just said Bubbly, but Barefoot Bubbly, Experian, like all these companies that got these fucking, you know what I'm saying, these rainbow flags and shit, you know that
we don't have to do the
but they know that they wasn't doing all that when you know, when black folks had like Black History Month. You didn't see as much support from these companies because they're trying to push us out the way and think that, you know, the gay community is the new wave. So again, another example of what I mean when I say already being used as an anti-black group. That's an example right there. Shit that we should have been got, we can't even get, because, you know what I'm saying? But I'm finna head into work, man. Tired of talking about this. Hopefully y'all get the message. But with that being said, man, thank you guys for watching. Peace. And I'll see you guys later. Be humble in victory, be gracious in defeat, show no mercy in battle. World Warriors Collective.